Good morning. I hope you and your loved ones are keeping well. Welcome to ESSEC's live Q&A. I am Anik from ESSEC, based in Singapore. I am the program advisor for the Global BBA. I am delighted to be here today. Thank you so much for attending this session on a Saturday morning. It's a pleasure to have Yvonne and Rinalyn with us today. Hi, Yvonne.
Hi, everyone. My name is Yvonne. I'm the head of admissions as well as marketing for the BBA program in ESSEC Asia Pacific.
Thank you, Yvonne. Hi, Rina.
Hi, everyone. My name is Rina, and I am a student ambassador, and I'm on my 4th year now. And later on, I'm going to share my experience.
Thank you, Rina. So in today's session, I will cover ESSEC and the Global BBA. Afterwards, Rina will share her experience, and this will be followed by a Q&A session. So in the meantime, do feel free to key in your queries via the YouTube chat. Now, give me a while I share my screen with you. Thank you. Okay, so this is the outline of the presentation. I will share about ESSEC Business School, ESSEC Asia Pacific, the Global BBA program, and the application and tuition fees. ESSEC was set up in 1907 in France, and we have a rich history of academic and research excellence. We are well known for our pioneering spirit, which we have embodied in every walk of the way. For example, in 1986, we became the first French school to partner with large companies, including Accenture, L'Oréal, and Louis Vuitton. In 1997, we were the first school outside North America to be accredited by AACSB, and this AACSB is the #1 accreditation body. And in 2005, at the invitation of the Singapore government, we established a base in Singapore. And in 2015, we launched our campus at One North, Singapore. Here are some of our alumni. They are now helming top MNCs across the world in different industries like real estate, finance and banking, as well as logistics. We have Émilie Couton, who is the Vice President of Digital Marketing at Accor Hotels. We have Ghislaine Le Chatelier, who is the Regional Director at Google Asia Pacific. And we have Mark Larsener, who is at DBS Bank. And I am sure that you recognize other companies like DBS, UBS, Standard Chartered Bank. ESSEC is the 7th best European business school, as per the Financial Times 2019. And we are very privileged to hold the Triple Crown accreditation, AACSB, EQUIS, and AMBA. These are the top accreditation bodies. And this Triple Crown accreditation, it is held by the top 1% of business schools globally. So this is a testament of ESSEC's high quality of education. Some key facts about ESSEC. We have 4 campuses, 2 in France at Cergy-Pontoise and Paris-La Défense, 1 in Singapore, and 1 in Morocco. We also have 21 corporate chairs. So this is where we partner with top companies to create research in innovative in their sector. For example, with Accenture, we focus on strategic business analytics. With Peugeot, we focus on the future of the automotive industry. With Chanel and LVMH on the luxury sector. And with L'Oréal on workplace diversity. We have over 6,000 students across all campuses and across all programs, and they represent 98 nationalities. We also have 162 permanent faculty members, among whom 21 are based at our Singapore campus. And our faculty members, they are quite international. They represent 36 nationalities. And we have 60,000 alumni worldwide. Now, about ESSEC Asia Pacific. So in 2005, the Economic Development Board, which is the Singapore government agency, they invited us to be part to set up a base in Singapore. And we are very privileged to have had the honor, and we are committed to contributing to the education and business ecosystem in Singapore and the region. Initially, we were based at the National Library, and then in 2015, we launched our full-fledged campus at One North. At the Singapore campus, we offer undergraduate and postgraduate courses, as well as executive education. And every year, we are very pleased to welcome about 600 students at our Singapore campus. So we do realize that it is very important to offer a supportive environment to our students. We know that for many of you, it will be your first time traveling overseas and your first time living overseas on your own. So we have a campus experience team. They are here and they advise on accommodation, and they also advise on how to adjust to life in Singapore. And they work closely with a student association to create a vibrant student life. We also have careers, so they will help you in terms of your job search, in terms of your CV, as well as interview. And they regularly organize networking events with top companies so as to help you in your internship and graduate employment later on. We also have the academic affairs team. So they help you in terms of academic matters like exam matters, class scheduling, as well as the program curriculum. And of course, we have our student ambassadors. The student ambassadors, they are current students, and they will help you before you enroll at ESSEC and also while you're at ESSEC. So they will give you tips in terms of courses and also what are the places you visit in Singapore. So they are like your friends. Our campus in Singapore, it serves as a gateway to Asia. And with our campus in France, it serves as a gateway to Europe. So with a Global BBA, you also have a truly international experience. So many of our students, they come to Singapore first, and then they continue to study at our campus in Singapore in year 2. And then in their year 3 and 4, they go to our campus in France, and they also go on global exchange and internship. This is an aerial view of our Singapore campus. It's very accessible by public transport. It's served by 2 train stations, and within 20 minutes, you can reach the city center. Our campus is strategically located in One North. It is known as the Silicon Valley of Singapore. So in a few minutes walk We have Biopolis, which is the pharma hub. And then we have a Fusionopolis, which is the technological hub. And we have also JTC Launchpad, which is the densest startup ecosystem in Asia. And you may know some companies like Agoda, Gojek, Grab, Razer, GlaxoSmithKline. So they are all located at One North, close to us. And what does this mean to you as a student of ESSEC? Well, this close proximity, it allows for synergy between ESSEC and these top companies. We do regularly have professionals from these companies visiting campus and speaking and networking with you. And these companies, they also provide internship opportunities. We also collaborate with these companies over events, like in 2019, ESSEC was pleased to partner with A-STAR, which is the National Research and Development Agency in Singapore, and we organized the Innovation Pitch Day to promote innovative science and technology. The Global BBA. We launched the Global BBA in 1975 in France, and it is still running strong there. In 2015, we welcomed our first cohort to the Singapore campus. Our Global BBA is ranked first in France by L'Étudiant and Le Point across many years. And we do recognize that businesses operate in a constantly evolving environment. So this is why every year we do review our courses to make sure that they fit the market needs. And companies, they are local and global at the same time. So we want our graduates to have a substantial amount of professional experience before they graduate. Internship is a key component of a program, and in fact, it differentiates our graduates from other graduates. So all our GBBA students, they need to do at least 10 months of global internship. And we have 3 types of internship. So at the end of year 1, you do a managerial internship. At the end of year 2, you do a social internship. And this social internship, this is where you go out to the community and help them. And this is because we do recognize that business leaders, they need to lead with compassion and empathy. And during your 3rd and 4th year, you do a 6-month internship. And don't worry, Careers Office will work closely with you to help you secure internship. We have 170 partner universities across the world. So all of our students, they need to do at least 6 months of exchange. And for those who are in the Dean's List, then they can do an exchange of 12 months. And in such a global world, it is an advantage to be proficient in many languages. And at ESSEC, we offer you this opportunity. So in addition to business English, those who are not proficient in French, they get to take French courses and they get to take another language. At the Singapore campus, we offer Japanese, Spanish, Mandarin, and Italian. Now let's hear from our alumnus, Brian. So Brian, he's originally from France and he came to Singapore. He was in the first cohort who came to Singapore for the GBBA. So he shared with us that he liked the program because it shaped him into a flexible and adaptable professional. And in fact, Brian managed to secure a full-time job before his graduation. And this is Simran. Simran is a year 3 student. She is originally from India, and she enjoys the holistic experience through the internships as well as the exchange. Simran is in the Dean's List, and so she's doing a one-year exchange at the National University of Singapore. Now, this is the program structure. It's a 4-year program. During your first 2 years, you do all the fundamentals of business, including finance, management, marketing, entrepreneurship, etc. And then, in your last 2 years, you get to take more electives. So you have a choice of beginning your studies in France or Singapore. Now, let me walk you through the Singapore track. So suppose you start your studies in Singapore, then during year 1 and 2, you study in Singapore. And at the end of year 1, you do a 3-month operational internship. And then during your year 2, you have the option of studying in France or Morocco for 1 semester. So we have students who start their year 2 in Singapore, and then they go to France, and then they stay in France to do their social internship. So it's up to you. Now, during the year 3 and 4, this is where you have lots of flexibility to customize your courses. So first, you do electives, you get to take more electives. And second, you choose the pathway which is most interesting to you. So for those who start in Singapore, you have a choice between the 6-month exchange or 1-year exchange double degree. And then you have the option of deciding when you want to do the different components. That is, you can decide when you want to do your exchange, when you want to do your managerial internship, and when you want to study at our campus. We have the apprenticeship track, and this is for students who start their studies in France. But not to worry, regardless of the track that you choose, at the end of the program, you will have done at least 1 semester of international exchange, at least 10 months of internship. We have another track, which is the International Business Education Alliance. In this track, you get to do your exchange at top business schools, like University of Mannheim, Germany, University of South Carolina, USA, and FGV in Brazil. So typically we have 10 students from each university. And so in total, it is a cohort of 40 students. And these 40 students, they study together at Mannheim, at South Carolina, at ESSEC, and FGV. We are very pleased to be partnering with the top universities across the world where you can do your exchange. Some top partner universities include University of Michigan, USA, King's College, UK, HKUST, Hong Kong, NUS Singapore, Tsinghua China, Keio University Japan, and Yonsei University Korea. Plus, you can also do a double degree with our 10 partners which are listed here. So with a double degree, you get a degree from ESSEC, plus you get a degree from the partner university. Now, in terms of future career opportunities, well, our ESSEC graduates, they are well sought after by top MNCs across different industries. So you will surely recognize some names like JP Morgan, KPMG, Google, Microsoft, Accenture, Chanel, Adidas, McDonald's, Ubisoft, Total, and Laurent. And based on a survey of 2019 GBBA graduates, our graduates earn an average starting salary of 63,500 Sing per year, which is very competitive. Now let's hear from Kevin. Kevin previously studied at Raffles, which is a premier school in Singapore. So he shared that he loves ESSEC because ESSEC provided him with a conducive environment to reach his fullest potential. And he got to live and study in 3 countries, which is awesome. Plus, he also developed valuable life skills while at ESSEC. Now we have Radhika. Radhika is a year 2 student, and she's originally from India. So it was, in fact, her first time traveling on her own overseas. And so she's very grateful for the constant support that ESSEC provided her. And this helped her to adjust to ESSEC better. And also she got constant guidance from the professors and the career department. We do regularly organize professional talks during lunchtime hour. So we have representatives from top companies like Google, BNP Paribas, Ubisoft, Schneider. And these representatives, they share about their career experience and they share about the industry. Plus, they also share about recruitment tips. We want our students to have a balanced and happy life at ESSEC. So we want them also to develop their interests outside of the classroom, to develop their personality and character. So we do support our students closely. And we have, at ESSEC Singapore campus, we have about 30 student associations covering a wide range of interests, whether it is in sports, in entrepreneurship, in arts, or community service. Plus, if you want to set up another student association, because it will enrich the student life further, then our campus experience team will closely support you. Now, application and tuition fees. We are currently in round 4, which is closing this coming Monday, but not to worry. We have another round, round 5, and this is our last round, and it is applicable to those who start their studies in Singapore. The closing date is May 16, and there are 2 steps in terms of application. So there's an online application, and then shortlisted candidates are called for an interview. And the final admission results will be out on 22nd of June. Our tuition fees amount to 22,600 Singapore dollars a year for those who are enrolling this September. We are very pleased to offer scholarships as well, the Academic Excellence Scholarship and the Regional Diversity Scholarship. And these scholarships, they cover up to 25% of total tuition fees. This is Priscilla. So she will enroll at ESSEC this September, and she's originally from Indonesia, and she's the recipient of a Regional Diversity Scholarship. So she decided to enroll at ESSEC because of a multicultural learning environment, the internship opportunities, global exchange program, as well as the flexibility to customize the degree. Now, let's hear from Rinalyn, who will share her experience at ESSEC.
Thanks, Anik. So, hi everyone. I hope that you're still with us and you find it interesting as so far. So here is the photo of my cohort when I first finished our first year at ESSEC Singapore. So as you can see, we are very diverse. It's a group of diverse students from Asia like me. I'm from the Philippines, and also from China, from India, from Indonesia. We have 2 or 3 cohorts as well, and as well as from France. So it's very diverse, and I know that you are concerned about being able to travel alone. But don't worry, because it was also our concern when we first arrived here in Singapore. I remember I was also very nervous, but also excited because it's different environment, and it enhances my personality at the end. So what it is like to be living here in Singapore. So I think the first thing that you have to remember, that when you go here in Singapore, it's very safe, and everything is organized by the school. I remember when I first arrived in Singapore, they helped me in terms of finding my accommodations, and they helped me in terms of adjusting to the culture. So we did this induction day, as you can see here in the photo. So it was during our first day of school. So we have this 2 days 2 days activities, meeting our classmates, and getting to know each and everyone. And then during these days, we had the opportunity to explore the city, and to try the local foods, and also to be able to be creative. So at the end of the 2 day activities, we presented our learning and what we've think about Singapore so far, and I really enjoyed it. And here was the photo of my team, and we won the third place. And yeah, it was fun, and it gave us the good kickstart for the program. And moving forward, I would like to share to you about my professional experience. So Anik mentioned that um, at ESSEC, especially in my program, Global BBA program, we are expected to do at least 3 internships. So during my first year, I did my operational internship. I did it in the Philippines. I was a business associate, and I handled different business context and department. I was dealing with the clients. It was a community building. So it gave me the practical. It helped me to apply the practical learning and experiences. And then after that, during my second year, with the help of career services, I'm able to secure an internship, or a part-time job with Louis Vuitton in Singapore. And it was one of the amazing experiences, because it taught me about the collaboration, and how is it to apply different business theories to practical situation. And lastly, I just finished in the previous photo. It was my recent internship for 6 months, and I did it here in Singapore as well. I was with one of the huge sports marketing agency, and I specialize in finance. And that internship has helped me to become leader, and also realize how much is it that the personality and also the spirit of being a team leader is important in the business context, and especially when we start working. And I owe that a lot in ESSEC, because they've given us the tools to be able to express ourselves. And also, Anik mentioned about the humanitarian experience, the social aspect. And this was the photo I had when I did my humanitarian. I was helping the kids, and I was teaching them. And it is actually very impactful to me. It's been shaping me to be a leader with the heart, that we understand different business problems and different situations around the world. So it has helped me to become more empathic, and to understand how the world works. And lastly, I wanted to share about the international or the global experience that I've got so far. So during my first 2 years, I was here in Singapore, and then on my third year, I went to France, in Paris, to do my exchange in our university, in our main campus there in Cergy. And then after that, I went to Barcelona to do my exchange. And that's one of the things that I like with ESSEC. It's the possibility to have the global experience, and to be able to travel while you're studying. It's like you applied for your 4 years program, and then you in return you get this cultural immersion, and also the diversity of students. So I think overall, ESSEC is shaping me to become a global leader through hands-on experiences. And the three things that I like the most about my studies so far is that it's a very diverse experience, and this program has different ways to tailor my career. Like for instance, we have different paths, and for me personally, because I am very passionate about industries in finance and the numbers, so I was able to tailor it when I reached my third year of studies. So if you're someone like me who is ambitious and willing to be out of your comfort zone, I highly recommend that you consider studying here at ESSEC, because I honestly think that it's one of the pivotal decisions that I've made in my life. It took me places, and it deeply affected the track of career that I would wanted to pursue in the future once I graduate this year. So yeah, so if you have any questions about it, I'm happy to share it with you. The any queries about studying in ESSEC.
Thank you, Rina. That's awesome. It looks like you had a fantastic experience at ESSEC, living in Singapore and then going to France and doing your exchange in Spain and then doing your humanitarian internship in the Philippines. So truly a global experience. So now it's time for our Q&A session. So I see that many of you have started keying in your questions. Great, we will take these soon. But just in case we do not have time to take all questions, please also have a look at the contact details here. So depending on where you study, okay? Like if you are studying in Southeast Asia, Australia, and New Zealand, so please contact me. And then there's Julie, who is managing Europe, America, North America, Middle East, and Africa. And then Thomas, China, South Korea, Taiwan, Hong Kong, and Macau. And Doljit, India, and Southern Africa. And Magdalena, Latin America. And then there's also ESSEC Talk. So this is a platform where you can view the profile of our student ambassadors and where you can reach out to them directly. Okay, so let's start with the Q&A. Okay, here I am back there on the video. Okay, so let me start. We have a question by Rajvir Gupta, Johor. So you have a question about the exchange program and how to choose the partner university and how to apply for it. Right, okay. So Rajvir, this is how it works. You will have a choice of selecting 20 universities in the application form, and then the academic team, they will select based on your academic performance and how you also perform in terms of your cohort. Okay, but not to worry because you indicated 20 universities, so definitely there will be a place for you. And is there any additional charge? So in terms of tuition fees, you just continue to pay ESSEC the normal tuition fees, so no additional charge in that sense. But then, of course, you would have living expenses in the overseas country. So then you need to budget for that. Okay? And now, oh, that's great. Rajvir, so you have done some internships, which is very good. And yes, of course, it is very good to include that in your CV and also to include that in the interview with the panel. Okay, because we are looking for well-rounded students who do well academically and also who are very involved in extracurricular activities as well as internship. Okay, so I hope I have answered your question about exchange.
Yeah, so Raj, you also have another question on now that we have already completed 3 rounds of admission, so how many seats are still available? So let me assure you that for every round of admissions, ESSEC will definitely have a certain number of allocated seats, because that would actually help the students to fulfill their aspirations to come to ESSEC. So generally, our cohort will be between the size of 60 to 75. So for each round, we would have catered roughly about the same number of seats, so that everyone actually gets to stand a chance. But then if you were to divide it, you will know that actually the number of seats for each round is very competitive. So I would urge you to apply as soon as you can, and to also strengthen your application in many ways possible, like your CV and the fact that you have mentioned your internship experience. That would also be a great point to add in your CV as well. Yeah.
Okay, and we have another question from Rajveer in terms of a structure of an interview and how you can prepare for it. Okay, not to worry. We are here all throughout to provide advice on that. Okay, so first of all, let's remember the objective of an interview. So the admissions panel, they want to see whether you will be a good fit at ESSEC, right? So they will look at your previous academic experience as well as your extracurricular activities. Okay, and for the interview itself, it's also to see what's your character and how you communicate. Okay, what's your personality like? Okay, so with this in mind, so the interview panel, typically they will ask like why you want to join ESSEC. They will want to see, to make sure that you're very committed, that you know in what you're getting involved in, that you're very sure you want to follow a career in business, and that you're sure that ESSEC will help you to achieve your career goals. Okay, and then of course we will ask you about your background, to explain in more details what you did in school, and also how you think you will contribute to the ESSEC community.
Yeah,
And
and
yes, Rina?
yeah, just to add on that, like when I did my interview with ESSEC, I think the main point that they wanted to see is how motivated are you to be part of ESSEC community? Like are you prepared enough to be studying abroad? And I think that was one of the strong points. Like if they see that you're prepared and you really want it, the motivation is there. I think you shouldn't be worried about it.
Mm. And also, I mean, you know, the interview panel, they are usually academics and maybe administrative staff. So they are very aware that, you know, you're a high school student, and as a high school student, maybe it is your first interview. So they are very friendly, and in fact, they want you to succeed in this interview, huh? So yes, you just need to know your background well and to communicate it well, okay? And to show some enthusiasm that you want to join ESSEC. Mm. Okay, so we have another question from Naveen. So Naveen, you are asking, is it compulsory to learn 3 languages for non-native speakers of English and French? Rina, would you like to share about this?
Yeah, so it's compulsory to learn French. It's like you have to learn the basics. So all throughout, especially when we first started in our first year, we would have this French class. But it's okay if you don't have any basis. Like the professors assess us, and they will group us according to our level. I think it's good because it's a preparation, since we were planned to be in Paris at least at some point in one semester. And then you have the liberty to choose your second language. So for my case, because I knew that I wanted to be in Spain, so I did choose Spanish as my third language. So it's up to you. Like if you wanted to improve more of your Mandarin, or if you wanted to learn your Japanese language and other languages, it's fine as long as it's aligned to your goal of where do you want to do your exchange during your third year, because it's gonna be a factor for them to consider if you're gonna be fitted to that country later on. So yeah.
Mm.
So
And
I'd
we
say
have, mhm.
Yeah, I'd say like you have to choose carefully what languages do you want to learn on top of French.
Yes, and then we offer two levels, right? Like there's the beginner level and then the more advanced level. So if you have like some basic knowledge of French, and then maybe you might take the more advanced level.
One question from Carlos about how a BBA student could get involved with ESSEC Ventures. Good job, man. You have done your research. Very, very proud of you. So for ESSEC Ventures, it is actually a startup within a startup. So we have actually set up the ESSEC Ventures way back then, about 10, 20 years back in the Sergi campus. And for you to be able to get involved with ESSEC Ventures, you need to be physically at the campus. But not to worry, we do have student clubs and also opportunities for students who are keen to do startups as well as to set up their own businesses to mingle amongst themselves as an interest group. And the fact that earlier on when Anik mentioned about us being in a startup hub, it helps a lot because then you can actually get not only internship experiences, but also mentorship guidance from people within the community. So I would also invite Arlenes to share maybe some of her experience if she has actually been involved in a startup or any discussions pertaining to startup before.
So when I was in Paris in the Sergi campus, there were a lot of ventures there, and they actually offered it's like an open discussion. Like if you wanted to get to know more of the ventures, you're welcome to join the discussions. And also there's some associations that really help students to be actively involved. But for my case, I didn't really did specific venture. I was just curious about the different ventures that are there in Sergi. Especially in Sergi, it's very strong, and you have many choices, like from fintech or doing social enterprises, and like it can vary depending on the interest of students.
Okay, thank you. So we have a question from Naveen. What A-level grade does a student require to apply for Global BBA? Okay, so typically we are looking at an average of B plus with good results in maths. And why maths? It's because we require our students to have strong quantitative skills, right? Because you will take modules like econometrics, finance, accounting. And so this is why we do emphasize on, yes, having good results in maths. Yes, and then of course, together with your academic grades, we will look at your CV and what are the kind of extracurricular activities you have done. Okay? Another question from Sheila. So Sheila, you want to know more about the overview of the admission process for ESSEC Business School. Okay, so the admission process is the same whether you start in Singapore or in France. Okay, so first of all, you will need to complete the online application. Okay, so this involves completing the online application form, and then you will need to upload supporting documents like your CV and also your academic transcripts. Okay, and so the admissions panel will make an assessment, an initial assessment based on these documents. And then if you're shortlisted for an interview, they will call you for the interview, and it can be face-to-face or online. And then this is the final step. Yes, I hope this answers your question, Sheila. Okay, another question from Rajveer. What is the IB grade cutoff? Okay, so typically we are looking at a cutoff of 35, typically including EE and TOC, okay? And of course, again, with good foundation in maths.
I think there's a general question also on the student life, diversity in class, in terms of nationality. So Rinalyn, maybe you could also take this question and help us to understand as a student perspective how you've enjoyed your experience in ESSEC.
Yeah, so for my class, I mean, especially in my batch, we were very diverse. I don't exactly remember how diverse it is, but to me, when I was sitting in the classroom, I feel like I'm facing like the other side of the world, because I can see some people mostly from Europe, and also there's lots of students from Asia. And I think you can view it in two ways. Like you can view it as a very intimidating, because you feel like, oh my god, like there's a lot of like it's like a group of different people. But the other way of viewing is it's an opportunity for you to be more mature, like in terms of how you view culture and how you view differences among students. So I took the other view. And I think it's gonna be more diverse when you went for exchange. When you go for exchange, like when I went to Paris, I got the diversity even more, and especially when I went to Barcelona as well. So during the first 2 years, it's a good practice, and it's a good opportunity to establish your comfort level, and to really get to know other students, like especially to talk to them. Like that's what I did. But it's gonna take time actually. So like step by step.
Oh, Yvonne, we cannot hear you.
Myself. Thanks, Rinalyn. Yeah, so there's a question that actually talks about whether students with private qualifications from private institutions can apply to the BBA. So, okay, there is no specific answer for that, because we do know that there are different types of application, different types of qualifications out there. So I would encourage you to send us the copy of your transcript, as well as the certificates that you have acquired over the years, so that we can then check back with our program director to make sure that at least it is a qualified qualification before you start to apply. Because we do know that the whole application process will take time, and we will also advise you accordingly whether you should proceed or not. So feel free to share with us the necessary documents, and we will advise you on that. Yeah.
Okay, a question from Peter. Does the student have to be able to speak French too? Okay, not necessarily. So if you choose to start your studies in Singapore, I mean, all the courses are in English. Okay, and even if you choose to start your studies in France, we also have a track where you study in English. Okay, and for those students who are proficient in French, then they have a choice of starting in France and choosing the French track. Okay, so it's not compulsory to speak French.
Desiree has a question on how many applicants we are going to accept. Like what I mentioned earlier, our cohort size ranges from 60 to 75. We are almost at half mark right now, and that is also because we have only completed registration for round 2, even though round 3 results have been out. So as you can see, it's very competitive. I would say that we can go up to 75 for this year. So again, I would urge you to send in your application early, so that you will still stand a chance to get into this cohort. Yeah, so I think, Rinalyn, you might also want to explore this question on the humanitarian or the social internship that you have done, how long it is, what's the preparation, and in a nutshell, what does it aim to help the students to achieve?
Okay, so for the humanitarian internship, usually the requirement is just 1 month for you to do it. So I think for me, I just did it 1 month, because I've been very involved with humanitarian projects since when I was like 15, so it wasn't new to me. And the goal for this is really because some of the students they really don't have the ground experience of how it is in the other sides, like to be able to appreciate those like for instance, if you're interested about the kids and the less privileged kids, you can opt to volunteering for them to be for you to be a teacher for a month, or if you really love the experience, you can extend for about 3 months, as long as it doesn't intervene with the studies in the coming semester. And the goal here is really to be able to connect to the real situations that's going on around, and to be able to have the heart, like as a leader, they're trying to train us to be able to have this compassion and to have this empathy, so you don't just lead in terms of like your knowledge. And so yeah, so it's to understand the culture and also to understand yourself, like how are you impacting in some other ways. So yeah, so that's my takeaway about it. And I would say that some of the students, because after that 1 month, like for me, I noticed that I changed a bit, and it impacted like my career decisions in like how am I gonna help in other ways. Yeah.
Thank you, Rina. So we have a question from Naveen. Students are asked to upload diplomas and enrollment certificate. Okay, what is it? Okay, so in addition to the academic transcripts, Naveen, so you need to enroll the diploma or enrollment certificate. Okay, so if you have already graduated from your high school, so you would have like a high school diploma. Or if you have not graduated yet, then you can ask your school for an enrollment certificate. And the school needs to say that you are studying at this school and when you're expected to graduate. Okay, so this is, yes, the enrollment certificate. I hope this answers your question, Naveen.
Yeah, there's also a question from Rajvia as for the total batch size that's expected to be in the Singapore campus. So is anything between 60 to 75? So I hope that answers your question. There's also another question on how COVID has affected the college, and is there any change that we should know about? Yes, COVID has indeed not only just affected ESSEC, but also the schools worldwide. So one big change that we have seen is to move all the learning to online learning. So Rinalyn right now is also undergoing this home-based learning experience. So we've moved all our classes online in consideration of the safety measures. And I would say that in this case, it has proven to be very successful, and it has helped us to pay for the eventuality that if the global situation, and I mean global because our program is very, very much global in the sense that we do admit students from all over the world, not just dependent on the region itself. So if the situation does not permit the students to actually travel and be physically present in the campus, we will have the additional option of relying on online learning for the first couple of terms. So, but of course, we do know that that is not going to be an ideal situation, because we do know that students like yourself like to socialize amongst yourselves, and we do know that very much. And we would, of course, love to have the physical classes in place as soon as possible. But then again, that is still a contingency phase as of now, because we will not know how the situation will pan out in a couple of months' time. But rest assured that we have already set up a case for a case scenario for that kind of a situation. Yeah. There is also another related question on, okay, in view of the current pandemic, will the admission be postponed or affected in any way? So it is for sure that the admission won't be postponed, because we know how important it is for every student to pursue their bachelor's degree, because it all ties in with family finances, career aspirations, and all that. So we do know that there are many students who don't want to defer their studies. So we will still proceed with the intake as per normal. And with reference to what I've just mentioned earlier, there might be a situation whereby if the global situation does not allow students to travel, then we will move the first couple of weeks or first couple of months onto online learning. Yeah. Okay, Rinalyn, besides the social mission that you've mentioned about, I know you're very active in internships. So would you like to also share your experience on the types of internships you have done and how you've managed to source for the internships while in Singapore?
Yeah, so for me, so far I've done like at least 4 internships, and mostly here in Singapore. Able to secure it because of the help of career services. Like I usually book an appointment with them, and it's very tailored because I have a specific career advisor in this case. She's she's very meticulous in terms of the details. Like she's helped me to craft my CV, and also to guide me in terms of like interview questions and preparations about it. And also she's the career service here in Singapore is very active. They also have some sessions where we can attend, like talks. And we have the portal in our campus, like it's an online portal where we can see the offers from the partner companies. And usually what I would do is to go through it and then select ones that I'm really into to it and like very interested, and then would go to career service for guidance and for preparation. And I think internships, you don't do it because you just for me, like my motivation of doing it is because while studying I wanted to apply the knowledges that I've been able to gain. And it was a bit tough at the beginning because I have to manage and my schedules in work and also with studies, but it helped me in terms of like knowing what I wanted to do. So I would encourage students also to do it, and just make sure that you know your priorities. Of course, the main priority is to be able to pass all your academics, and then be able to apply things that you've learned so far.
Thanks, Rinalyn. Rajvia, you have a question on whether the intake will start in terms of the orientation. Will it actually happen remotely? Okay, so right now we have not catered for 100% eventuality that the orientation will happen remotely. We are still planning as per a physical orientation to welcome everyone on board, because that's all part and parcel of the excitement of coming to a college, and to also meeting your friends and all that. So I would say that for now, we are not looking at it as an online in orientation. We're still preparing ahead for the physical orientation, but that said, of course, things might change because of the situation, which we never know. In that case, we would actually then shift the physical orientation to an online orientation. So actually, I would like to take this opportunity to also cite one very interesting instance, whereby in the past we have had this business intelligence module, where we had students from all 3 campuses in Singapore, France, as well as Morocco coming together and also learning a specific module together online. And that particular module has actually welcomed about close to 600-700 students all together. And how do we actually manage the time zone? So basically, the students actually started in the afternoon so that actually the students from France can also join in at the same time. And then they extended it all the way to the evening. So it was a very interesting experience. I would say that that actually gave me a very good insight as to how we can probably do the orientation all together. And you'll be able to see for yourself, your peers who are actually in France as well as in the Moroccan campus, which will be very exciting. Yeah, so I hope that also answers your question. Yeah.
So Naveen, you have a question. If you have to discontinue and join ESSEC, do you need to get the enrollment certificate from your university? Okay, so in terms of assessment, we base the assessment mostly on your high school, your performance in your high school. So it will be important, first of all, to get your transcripts and the diploma from your high school. And then, if possible, yes, it will be good to have an enrollment certificate from your university. But we understand, that sometimes because you're currently studying there, it might be difficult to get an enrollment certificate from them. But don't worry. So if you have an enrollment certificate from the high school, then this is at least, the basic, yes. Okay, so I hope I have answered your question, Naveen. So we will take one last question. Okay, so one popular question that we get is whether the Singapore campus offers on-campus accommodation. We do not have, but do not worry, you know, Singapore, it's small and well-connected. And so typically our students, they stay in flats and maybe, you know, they share flats with their classmates, or sometimes they stay in hostels as well. We have a few nearby ESSEC, and in that hostel, you also get to meet students from other universities in Singapore. Yes, and don't worry, also our campus experience team is here to advise on accommodation. Yeah?
Yeah, so I'd like to chime in on this note as well. So take, for example, how do we actually provide the initial support? So I'm not so sure whether some of you have actually started applying for other schools, but what ESSEC is doing differently is that we reach out to the students very early. So next week we have a very interesting session for all our registered and admitted students to come together to meet key personnel of the program. And one of them is actually a campus experience manager. So he is actually, so his name is Tanya. So Tanya will be your very first touch point when you arrive in Singapore. So he will be able to share a lot about the accommodation options, what kind of options are available, price range, what kind of student activities and campus life can you look forward to. But of course, more importantly, before that, it would be the student pass application and the visa application and all that. So we do know that students are very concerned, especially in these current times, about all these day-to-day activities as well as issues that pertain to the arrival. So that's why we are trying to reach out as much as we can, and also as early as we can, to help yourself as well as your parents to know what are the next steps that are coming up. And of course, while we cannot address the day-to-day changes of the COVID situation, but rest assured that we have contingency plans in mind. And that is why the engagement channel is for us to keep in touch with you guys, so that you, whenever you have any questions, you can feel free to come back to us. And this is something that I would say that the school has been doing very well. And for the first time, we managed to assure the students that for every step of the way we're with you. So I hope that that also gives you the confidence to explore ESSEC as a choice of study. And also feel free to reach out to myself or Anik, and also Rinalyn will be also very happy to answer some of your questions. You can reach out to Anik through emails, and then she will be able to feed the questions back to us. So we are all very well connected. So do not hesitate to approach us if you've got any questions.
Okay, so one final question from Peter. How early do we have to submit the application? So as early as possible. In fact, we do advise our students to prepare the documents as early as possible, because it does take time. Like you need to prepare your CV, you need to prepare the academic transcripts, you need to get the enrollment certificate from your school, plus you also need to look for 2 referees, okay? And your referees will need to take time to complete the online reference form. So all this take time, so we do advise our students, yes, to start preparing early. Okay, okay, so before ending, I will share the contact slide that I showed earlier. Okay. So here you have our contact details. So do keep in touch with us, okay? And yes, so we have reached the end of the session. So thank you, everyone. So a big thank you. You have been a lovely audience. Thank you to Naveen, Rajveer, Peter, Suzanne, Yuvraj, and Desiree Jane. Okay, so
Yes.
we hope we have
very good questions. Yeah.
And of course, thank you, everyone, Yvonne, Rina, and also our IT team.
Thanks, Rina.
Okay.
Thanks, Rodel. Thanks for the help. Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Have a very good weekend, and hope to chat with you in person one day in the campus. Okay. Take care. Stay safe.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.